Welcome to Dropped In, Heather Ash. I am so grateful and excited to welcome you to our Dropped In community.
Thanks so much, Megan. I'm really happy, excited to be here.
I love to ask my guests to share who they are and what they do.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm an author and a teacher and a land steward. I've been teaching since I was 21 and just feel like I was drafted by the goddess, as I call it, to share and to write. I've always known I wanted to be an author. And I love working with entrepreneurs and women in leadership and helping them to really step into their power, their potential, their heart, and shift from conditional, what I think of as conditional living, where we compare and judge and do all sorts of things in our head to self sabotage without realizing it, and to really
Mm,
step into what it means to be unconditional with
mm,
ourselves and others.
that's incredible. Such important work and such meaningful work, especially we need more of the light bringers in this world to step up and share. And so thank you for the work that you do.
Yes, absolutely.
So before we go into where we're headed, I understand you've written 9 books. That is incredible.
Yes, I love writing. I really do. And it's been such an honor to get to have so many different facets of learnings that I've had to be able to put into the world. Yeah, so the book that I'm most well known for is called Warrior Goddess Training, and
Mm,
it's about taking the warrior clarity, commitment, that 100% yes, and blending it with the goddess with open-hearted presence and creativity, and really finding what our blend is and how to speak the language of both of those energies is really important. And the
mm,
the reminder that it's training, we're in practice with
mm,
everything that we do.
mhm.
Yeah,
Isn't that the truth?
very much.
If we were enlightened, we wouldn't be here.
We'd be doing something else.
Yeah, that's for sure. So was that your first book or where were you on your journey when you wrote that book?
That was the second book. I'd
Okay.
self-published for many years, and then that's my second traditionally published book through a publishing house. Yeah, and then the last book, Wild, Willing, and Wise, it's a really fun book. It's a guidebook that and the subtitle is an interactive guide of when to paddle, when to rest, and when to jump naked into the river of life.
Ooh, I
So,
love that.
it's a really good one, and lots of interactions and lots of quizzes and lots of exploration around these 3 archetypes of wild, our really feral, creative, adventurous self, of willing, our stable, building something. These were inspired by Maiden Mother Crone
Mm.
originally, which is a moon set of archetypes. And so I really wanted to make something non-gendered and non-linear.
Mhm.
So the willing is that mothering, growing a business, growing our spiritual path. And it takes a willingness to keep showing up even when it's hard.
Mhm. It
And then the
certainly does.
wise, it does. And then the wise is that connection to our stillness, our intuition, visioning possibility.
Beautiful. How did you get into the work that you do today? What was the catalyst?
The catalyst was I grew up in Southeast Asia, so I was exposed to a lot of different spiritual traditions, ways that humans are in relationship to the world, and where I lived in Asia, there's a really deep sense of spirituality that people have and community. And so when I moved to the States, I was like, "What is wrong here?" Like, everything felt disconnected. I felt disconnected, and that started me on a path of exploration, and I started in politics and social activism, and then realized, okay, it's not quite it. That's I'm still very passionate about social justice work, and I found I wanted to create a bigger container. So that's when I started studying different spiritual traditions and studied with a couple of really incredible women
Mm.
around European shamanism, around cycles and seasons and connection to the earth. So I feel like that plugged me back in to the earth and got me connected to the idea of the goddess and the divine feminine and the beauty of looking at the cycles rather than thinking everything's linear.
Mhm.
And then I knew I needed something knew there was a piece that was missing in my training. And that's when I started studying with Don Miguel Ruiz, who's the author of the Four Agreements. So, and really incredible teacher.
Oh my
And I
goodness.
apprenticed with him for 15 years, really seriously. Yeah.
That's incredible. Let's hear more about that. So I didn't know that piece of your story. That's incredible.
Yes. I met Miguel in 1992 before the book. And I actually had a dream about him that was really clear. And I always tell people if there's something you are yearning, get really clear about the feeling sense and then open and ask. And I opened and asked. I was like, I don't know exactly what I want, but I know there's a piece I'm missing.
Mhm.
So here, this. And I had this dream. And a week later, somebody came into my office and said, "You have to meet this man." And I'm like, "Oh my God, it's the guy in my dream."
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Divine.
Really, I've been so, so blessed. And that community, I was always really passionate about community and then stepping into the Toltec work. And for those of you that might be new to Miguel, Don Miguel, and the Ruiz family and the Four Agreements, the Toltecs were a group of people that came together in South and Central Mexico to study perception. And they're really interested in what we as humans do with our energy. And so it was beautiful. I had this goddess background of cycles and seasons and really coming home to myself in a really foundational way with that work. And then I got the piece from Miguel around warrior, around undoing agreements and limitations and stories, around getting really empty and learning how to connect with silent knowledge and direct myself more from an energetic point of view versus a thought or mental point of view. So that was incredibly rich training over
I
many years. I'm so blessed.
I can only imagine. So you studied with him for 15 years.
Yeah, and
Wow.
traveled the world with him and taught with him, and yeah, so really close with the whole family.
Wow, that's
Mhm.
wonderful. That's one it's one of my life Bibles, that book. It's definitely was a game changer for me. So that's incredible.
Yeah, it really is, and I taught the Four Agreements for 15 years.
Wow, I have shivers. That's so
Yeah,
cool.
but that wisdom is woven into Warrior. It's really woven into every book I've written, but especially Warrior Goddess Training was the coming together of the goddess tradition I'd been in, the warrior tradition with Miguel and that community, and then my experiences. So there's a lot of vulnerability in all of my writing. Like I really learned through people sharing their experiences
Mhm.
and learning from people's mistakes and also like insights. And so I'm really in all my books, I share a lot about how I learned things and the mistakes along the way and the beauty along the way.
Oh my goodness, that's incredible. Okay, so I know you're passionate about leadership and self-care. So let's drop into that because it is such an important conversation to be had.
Yeah, this is what I'm working on for my next book is around leadership and self-care and communication. So I just wrote a series of articles. This is how I always start books is I write some articles and then I ponder and talk to people. And so what I learned as I was exploring the idea of self-care is that we often think of self-care as I just need to take more bubble baths or I need to go for more long walks or I just need a vacation and that'll fix everything. And that the truth is self-care is something that holds us. I think about it as a container, and that the container, the beginning part of the container is us centering ourselves of what we actually need rather than what we think we need. So
Mhm.
that there's this level of let me put myself in the center of my own circle, and that there's then four pillars that create stability in relationship to self care. And the first one, I'll just go through them really briefly and then we can go deeper into them. So there isn't like do this and then do this and then do this and do this, but we have to talk about it in a line, but it's a circle.
Mhm.
So one part of self-care is around creating clear structures, having clarity about what we really want, and then looking in our lives of where are there what I think of as tangles or places where we're getting stuck constantly and we're losing energy.
Mhm.
And so that clarity and then creating good structures to support ourselves.
Mhm.
Really simple, but also profound. to
Mhm.
do this as a piece of self-care. And I'll go back and share more about that. So, and then the second one is nourishing, which is what we often think of as self-care. Do more things that nourish us. But part of the nourishing part of the equation is permission, that
Mm.
we actually have to give ourselves permission to fully receive.
Mhm.
And a lot of us, I see this in myself and with friends and with students, that we think we're nourishing ourselves, but we're actually not taking it in,
Right.
right? We're like, well, I'm doing it, but we're still thinking about things. We're not really take like, so learning how to be really receptive to
Yeah.
receive.
Yeah, as
The,
opposed to, like, ticking the box.
yeah, exactly. Well, I took a bath. Why don't I feel better?
Yeah.
Right. Or I, had that cup of tea and mindfully drank it. Why am I still stressed out? Because you were still thinking about the thing that had to be happen next while you're drinking the tea. So it's a
Yes.
big all of this is a big rewire of
It
our
is.
energetic and our nervous system.
Mhm. You're
The
speaking my
third place
language.
it is, it's big. The third place of self-care is maintenance. And this is the not sexy part. The next two ones are like not so sexy, but really, really important. So in a human body and with stuff like our cars, our houses, our business, our relationships, our relationship with ourselves, all of these things need maintenance. And often where we break down in our self-care is we can get frustrated because we're like, why is this never ending? Why do I always have lists? And what we do when we look at this third aspect of self-care is we separate out there's projects which have an end.
Mhm.
We can check the list off. But then there's maintenance, and maintenance is I brush my teeth before I go to bed. I take the dog for a walk. I put oil in the car. I fill in the blank. I spend time with somebody that's important to me. It's maintenance of a relationship. I keep up with my finances and pay my bills. All of that's maintenance. And there's the more things we have, the more maintenance there is.
Mhm.
And so when we start seeing maintenance as a ceremony and as something that is an incredible honor, everything shifts. And it's a form of self care because I'm maintaining, like, I'm paying my bills to honor that I want to live in this house, or I want to have the car that I have, or I want to have electricity.
Mhm.
And so instead of, why is this happening again? Why is there so much? We recognize it's really beautiful self care that we can shift our relationship with it. And then the last one is doing hard things, doing challenging things. A big piece of self care is breaking the pattern or the habit some of us have of procrastinating and putting the hard things off, which then drags our energy. It's actually impeccable self care
Mhm.
to say, all right, I need to have this hard conversation.
Mhm.
It's time for me to do this hard thing I've been putting off. And so growing ourselves in that way to just have the courage to do those challenging things as a form of self-care. And you'll see, like, when you look at the circle, that self-care, that um, nourishing is opposite of doing hard things. So we need a balance.
Mhm.
And that the structures and clarity around what we're doing is opposite of maintenance because they work together. So
Mhm.
there's a place that we start feeling from our center. What do I need more of? And that we can lean towards that so that we're really balanced in our world.
Beautiful, profound. It sounds like you and I do very similar work. As you were sharing, I was like, "Oh, that's what I call an energy leak." And I absolutely love that you spoke into the nervous system and the energetics of. And I know in my world, because when you're in your world, it just feels like everybody knows this stuff, but really nobody knows this stuff. Like this is the secret sauce. So let's drop into it more because I feel like this will be really supportive for our community.
And yeah, I love that. I'm very much about we are energetic beings. We have a precious amount of energy, and that most of us don't recognize how much we're leaking energy. We're like little colanders, and there's energy going out in so many places. And so self care is about learning how to hold the container so that we can actually have more energy and that we don't blow it out. So we
Hmm.
get familiar with this feels comfortable. And especially when I work with leaders of like, okay, we're going to step up. And there's this like, oh my God, I can't do this. I need to blow this energy out without even realizing it. It's like, no, you need to grow your capacity to hold more energy in the nervous system and as well as with your stories.
Yes.
I was just talking with someone today who is stepping into a healing practice and is having some challenges. And I was like, yep, here we go. Like
Here
when
we
you
grow.
step up, the challenges start to arise and we can use them against ourselves, or we can be like, all right,
Mm,
up level, which means I need to start patching some of the holes in
yeah.
my energy field and
Yeah.
rewiring old agreements.
Yeah. So how do you support these leaders in expanding their capacity?
I really teach about foundationally a couple things. One is when we're in leadership, we want to remember we're in leadership to ourselves first.
Mhm.
And that self leadership is about shifting from conditional to unconditional in how we treat ourselves, how we talk to ourselves. And so when we're conditional, we say things like, I'll love you when,
Mhm.
I'll respect you if. And we often do this very unconsciously. We don't even realize that we have these agreements
Mm,
under the surface of our being. And when we step into leadership, we need to equally be undoing those agreements inside of us, as well as getting brighter to bring whatever our message is into the world. And that they go hand in hand and they never end. It's
mhm.
not like one day you're like, okay, good, I've cleaned up the internal world and now I can give my gift. The bigger you are, the more internal work you're going to be doing.
Yes. Yes.
That's
And
what you signed up for.
100%.
Well,
And if you aren't doing the work, you're gonna have these it could be any type of ceiling. We're gonna have these ceilings, wouldn't you agree?
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Mhm.
And so undoing that inner world and exploring and really questioning what does it mean to be unconditional with myself?
Mhm.
What would it be like to no longer compare or judge or doubt constantly, tear myself down, procrastinate, self-sabotage? And what does it mean to be loving, to be humble, to be present, to have clear boundaries without good, bad, right, wrong,
Mm,
with our mind, with ourselves, with our actions?
mm,
It all comes back to this, but it's not. Sometimes people in leadership are like, well, let me clean myself up 100% and then I can give my gift. Nope. You get to do it simultaneously.
yeah,
And, and it's a constant up leveling.
it is.
Yeah,
Thank you for sharing that because I know I mean, there's seasons and spaces when perhaps we need to just focus on our healing journey. However, there are also times and spaces when we're just constantly doing the work and supporting ourselves in that recalibration, right? Can we drop into that a little bit deeper? Have you experienced that where some of your people that you've supported take that big sacred pause when in all reality they could be doing it all simultaneously together?
definitely. Definitely. And it feels like people hit their fear of I don't I'm safe here. If I expand more, it's becoming more unknown and I'm scared of people getting angry at me or um doing it wrong or like fill in the blank. The fear starts showing up and instead of saying, "Oh, a fear, great. Okay, keep go." This is actually a keep going to expand beyond this. People often then pull back. And that's
Mhm.
why it's so important to have guidance, to have people like you, like me, like there's so many women leaders now, yay, that
Yay.
are helping that threshold of keep going, keep expanding. And
Yeah.
and that it's we don't have to be perfect. We just have to be honest and
Mhm.
with ourselves
Yeah.
about where
Yeah.
we're at.
I love that, and it's like energetic jet lag when we're growing and then we retract back, and then we're growing and we retract back. It's far more painful to do that than it is to just be like, "All right, I'm gonna take the leap, and I trust that I will be safe upon landing."
Yes. And that's why it's so important to have a community to
Mm,
hold and cheerlead and reflect and remind that we don't need to do it by ourselves. It's a much more effective journey when we travel together for sure.
It
Yeah.
certainly is. It
Yeah.
certainly is.
Mhm.
So do you find that, naturally leaders are coming to work with you? Like, I'm curious in today's day and age, because when I think of entrepreneurs and leadership and CEOs, it's very masculine driven, and it's, I don't have time to do the inner work. I've gotta keep pushing and keep creating and keep innovating. So I'm curious, how things have shifted in that realm for you.
I feel like women especially are realizing, it's so true of all genders, but women especially are starting to realize that that mode of what I call excess warrior, of I'll just push through and make it happen no matter what, isn't working.
Yeah.
And there's a place where when they start to really recognize that, then they start to go, okay, who can I find that can help me in this transition? But
Mhm.
they definitely have to get to a place of recognizing it's not working. This is not serving anybody, because it's not just serving us, it's not serving the entire organization.
Mhm.
And that's what happened to me is I had a nonprofit organization where I was teaching the Four Agreements and Toltec wisdom in Berkeley in the early 2000s. And about 4 years in, I had written a book that I self-published. I had trained 20 teachers that were traveling to different parts of the country teaching Toltec wisdom. I like everything in my life was going the way I had wanted. The vision was happening. I was unhappy. I was stressed out. My team was really stressed out. And I stopped at one point. I'm like, at first, I'm blaming everybody else. Like, why aren't you doing it right? And then I had to stop and be like, oh, this is me, this organization, because I'm at the center of holding this organization. All this dysfunction in this organization is coming from my dysfunction.
Mhm.
And I just owned it.
Wow.
And I ended up closing the organization down. I actually passed it on to somebody and then it disintegrated. But I made the decision, I want to break this. I do not want to continue this pattern. I need to go on a quest, basically. And I went on the road for a year. And that was when I wrote my book. At the time, it was called Sacred Time Management. And now it is called, what is it called now? That's so funny. Awaken Your Inner Fire. There we go.
Okay.
But that was my quest, and part of where the self-care came from as well was from that exploration, and what I realized is we were often been trained to do things backwards,
Mm.
where we're like, "I will create my vision, I will make sure everybody likes me, I will effort and prove myself, and then I can have my spiritual path, or then I can rest, or then I can retire, or then I know I'm a good girl."
Mhm.
And what the foundation of the work that I start with leaders is I believe each of us has what I call our true work. And it's connected to our purpose, but I've actually seen a lot of leaders create major suffering for themselves by like, I don't know what my purpose is, or I'm not living my purpose properly, or it's not manifesting the way it's supposed to. And so when I felt into it, what I recognized is that each of us, if we can create a lot of simplicity for ourselves by dropping in and asking ourselves, what's the one quality that I devote and dedicate my life to embodying
Mm.
through everything that I do, not just through my work, but through every action I do. And so for me, that's love. It's unconditional love. For
Mhm.
someone else, it might be joy, it might be presence, it might be humor, it can be anything. For me, it's unconditional love. And it's my true work because I'm practicing it all the time. When I'm
Mhm.
picking up dog shit, I'm practicing it. When I'm having an argument with someone, I'm like, okay, how you doing? And it's not something our true work isn't something we've mastered. It's probably something we'll never master. We may, but it's something you're stretching yourself into. And
Mhm.
what happens then is everything flips upside down in a good way. So instead of work being this separate thing, so then I can practice my true work in my business and
Mhm.
with my family and with the little puppy dog I'm training right now. He's so cute. Yeah,
and within yourself.
absolutely. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, which is the
Oh,
key.
my goodness. I could be here with you all day. I just absolutely love this conversation. It's energetically rich and so needed. So thank you so much for the work you do. You are a true inspiration. How can people learn more about the work that you do and connect with you?
The website's warriorgoddess.com, and that's where all the live and the online events are. So we have the calendar for each year there. And then I also write a Substack, which is where my like most juiciest, like figuring things out, and also writing about the land that I steward. I steward 180 acres of land that we were hit by a wildfire a couple years ago. So we're in big restoration right now. So I write about that journey and other paradoxes and
Mm.
contradictions. That's heatherash.substack.com.
Okay, that's where the juice is.
Mhm. The writing juice is
The
there.
ready.
The freshest things are being birthed there.
I love that. I love that. All right, I have a final question for you. For now, I'd love to have you back. What is a message of hope that you could offer someone who is feeling like quitting or throwing in the towel?
Mm. You are a unique ray of light, and your voice, your heart, your experiences, everything that has happened in your life, somebody needs. Somebody needs that wisdom,
Mm,
and that we're all woven together. You're not a separate thread.
mm,
You are part of such this larger tapestry of
mm.
healing
Oof,
that we all need right now.
that's profound. Thank you for that. I
Mhm.
have a beautiful visualization, so thank you.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, you're so welcome. Thanks for all the work that you do, Megan, and for having me on your show.
Oh, it's been an honor, a gift, so thank you. Most people think scaling is about doing more strategy, more hours, more effort. Your success isn't about how hard you work. It's about how well your nervous system can hold what you're building. If your body is stuck in survival mode, no strategy in the world will make scaling feel sustainable. You'll stay in the cycle of overthinking, self sabotaging, pushing harder while getting nowhere. Not because you don't know what to do, but because your system isn't wired to receive what you're working for. That's why I created the Inner Pharmacy Playbook. 143 power pages of real, high level strategy to regulate your nervous system, rewire resistance, and finally step into momentum that sticks. Because you weren't meant to build your empire through exhaustion. You were meant to build it with ease, clarity, and power. And that starts here. Go to the show notes and grab your copy of the Inner Pharmacy Playbook, because the next level of your business is not about grinding harder. It's about becoming the version of you who can hold it all.